Guys, welcome to TGS. Today we're going to be looking at this. The Fossari CRX9. Who are Fossari? Well, we'll cover that a bit later. For now, I'm desperate to shoot it, so we're here at Barbary and let's get going. A quick bit about the gun. You got an adjustable rib, an adjustable comb, and a detachable trigger. It's made in Italy. It's about $5 grand. I am so excited to shoot this. I first saw one out in America at Nationals 2022. Oh, let's get going. Two targets in, two brakes. First thoughts are this gun is lightning fast. I really like that. For a heavy gun, that move through those targets super quick to the point that I almost missed that B in front. I guess we should probably pay more attention to the rib and how to adjust it, but I've set the comb up. The comb is a really nice system. Simple two screws with spaces, but it's nicely engineered. And the rib is done on these sprung plungers. You get a little tool, we'll look at it later, to adjust it up and down for point of impact. I just put it somewhere in the middle. I figured that would be about right. One thing I found is the gun comes quite low, so I've obviously jacked it up quite a lot to be able to see over the rib, but I don't hate how that level of Monte Carlo feels either. What say you we shoot a few sporting stands, Owen, and see where we're at? I mean, I'll take a kill and a loss. Something that's evident is a little short. It'd be nice to see it with a spacer system, but I say that about every gun nowadays. I guess the reality is if you're going to buy one of these at $5 grand, you're going to have it fitted properly. I found just between those shots there, my shoulder was coming out of the stock and the gun was rotating down a little bit, pulling me out of line. It's a great excuse, but that's the last time we're going to use that excuse. We're going to pay a bit more attention to the next stand. I like the way this moves and feels. It's good. Probably put that comb over a little more in reality, but the thing with adjustable combs is it takes a little while to set them up. What feels good in the shop or at home doesn't necessarily feel good when you're in action with all your gear on. It's also getting a bit hot. I think I'm going to strip off for the next stand. Not in a sexy way. Okay, here we go. That gun is way more lively than I thought it would be, being a big heavy gun. I would have thought maybe longer barrels, heavier chokes would be a good idea for it. But we're going to bear that in mind for this one. Hold ourselves back a little bit, just learn how she goes. It is nicely engineered, I'll give it that. It feels good, quality of finish is high. This is hopefully a winner. I like it. AB, let's go. This gun shoots differently to how I thought it would, and I do like it. I said walking in here I'd like it to be a little bit more front end magic, a little bit lighter in the back, but the speed you can get on that A and B sim pair is wild. I like it. Recoil is nice. Recoil, I guess a lot to do with the stock design. It's very much straight back. You're not getting any muzzle flip, which is great for second, third acquisition. But I guess that's because it's trappy style. That's kind of part of the design. But this is marketed as an all-round sporter. I like that that high rib isn't that high. And even if you jack it up to its highest point, it's not ridiculous looking. Kind of more in line with a K80 Super Sporting height where I've got it. I thought that this step here would be an issue. It's not. Like, you don't really pay any attention to back there. And when you're lined up down the rib, you really can have a play. And that's all I did in the shop was fiddle it until it looked about right. We're overdue a film on adjustable ribs and how to set them up and how badly it can go. Maybe before the next stand, let's pop back to the car and adjust that rib to be shooting as high as humanly possible. Wonder how much of a difference it will make. The only thing I'm not that keen on is the shape of this fore end. It'd be nice just to have it rounded. That tulip isn't offensive. I just feel like the rest of this gun it would be more rounded, or just looks a touch refined maybe for the rest of it. This is the tool. We put it in the hole, thus, push forward on the plunger and then just move that up to the top, and then we go to the front and do the exact opposite. Oh yeah, it's different down the gun. I'm no longer seeing so much rib, it's a lot flatter. Let's see what difference it makes. Maybe this is the championship move. We're going to shoot this Fitasco out, or at least some of it. Let's have some fun. All right, let's go in the hoop. Oh, I do not like the way that rib looks now. Almost feels like I'm shooting a flat shooting gun, which is really interesting. Let's shoot B-Bird. fast right to left chandelle. Amazing how different that gun feels now. I didn't feel particularly locked into it before, which I do usually when I see a bit of rib. Now, I feel very much like that shot's going where I'm looking. We'll shoot 2 more and then I'm going to flip it the other way. I feel like I'm seeing a weird amount of rib, but then where this is down, I now notice the gap. Hey, let's shoot a D and see what happens. The gun now feels a lot faster, a lot more instinctive. Before I felt like I was really placing the shot, now I feel like the gun's doing some of the work. That is a very interesting difference because again, the back end remains the same. E-bird, left to right crosser off the back bang. And the F-bird. This is a good test of whether you're on it or not. We don't get a lot of time on the F, straight into the bank. A few things to gather and a few thoughts to marshal. Let's set it back to super flat and continue. Amazing how something so simple as 2 plungers can change a gun so drastically. And I guess that adds to the versatility of this gun, and that's something I think we'll go into in the studio, is how versatile it is, from the adjustable comb to the adjustable rib to some of the other features it has. I was kind of thinking this might not be put together as nicely as some others, given that it's a £5,000 gun with this kind of look. But it really does pack a punch quality-wise. Let's shoot that E. In fact, let's shoot the same birds again, but with the rib now set to the other direction. Before we go over to the last stand, which is something a bit tastier, I just want to have a quick game of quickest off the arm with this. I feel good. Like, it's amazing the difference in changing that rib. All these targets are crushing real nice. The moves make themselves a little easier. It's a much more connected feel. And I didn't dislike it the other way, but I don't feel too forced with this. It is a £5,000 gun, and you should expect £5,000 guns to be good. F-bird quickest off the arm? Yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's going to be hard, but we'll try. That was fast. We can go faster. That felt fast, but we can do it faster. You now know what I spend most of my time doing at playgrounds is this. Last 2 cartridges, I've said 20 times. No, can't do it. I am aware that that proves absolutely nothing, just so you know, but it was, it's a little bit like trick shooting with a gun. Is sometimes that, in my head, is the test of whether it's got versatility. And not that it matters, because you're rarely going to have to make a shot that quick off the trap arm. And this gun was well more than capable. I think quicker than what I shot it that first time. All right, guys, I'm going to shoot this stand and I'll see you back in the studio. I really enjoyed shooting this Fossari. I kind of had in my head that it was going to be good after seeing it and sort of having a look at some of the features, but this, unsurprisingly, I guess, is a really good gun. They have been around since 1971, based out of Gardoni Valtrampia, making hunting guns, as I said. And they have made some clay guns based around that base model, but this is a completely new direction for them. They went out with the base design, or the concept of saying, we want to make a gun that belongs on the world stage of top-end competitive shooting, and I'm fairly sure they've succeeded. Let's have a proper look over it from top to tail and see what you get for £4,980. The first thing being, a cool case. I love these more compact cases. It doesn't look quite so gunny, and the Fossari on the outside of the case isn't going to attract too much attention, luckily. You pop it open with 3 combi locks, and the gun is set into 2 different compartments. You have all of your tools, adjustable comb tool and adjustable rib tool, some oil, a stock key, and a box of chokes. The chokes comes with 3 and a choke key, and there's 2 in the gun, so that's 5 in total, which is pretty standard. It would be nice to see more, but honestly, you'd probably never use them, so we'll get pent up over that. Right, let's put this down out of the way and clip her together. But before we do that, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Custom Fit Guards.
They're the guys that make my custom molded ear protection. Don't forget you get 10% off with TGS10. I use the electronics now, but I use the switches for years and I still go back to them regularly. It's about the best value in-ear, I think, that serves all purposes. You can switch the valve on, you can switch the valve off, according to your situational awareness needs. Back to the Fossari. The CRX9 BSR, and the BSR is this model with the adjustable rib. They make a non-adjustable rib model as well, but we're not going to talk about that today. The gun weighs in, according to the book, at £9 too. This one is actually a shade under £9, so there's going to be some variance because it obviously comes with, doesn't come with, but has barrel weights and stock weights you can have fitted. Isn't supplied with them, but according to the website, they are available, which is kind of cool. And again, at this grade, you do want a little bit of personalization. Given that everyone prefers a slightly different gun, that is good. I think I said in the field it would be nice to have a touch more front end weight, and actually, usually I'd avoid barrel weights, but this one could do with them. For me. That said, it shot well, so I'm not going to get too fussy. And if you're unsure, you can go and get your gun fitted, meet up with an instructor, try a few things with a professional opinion behind you. That's going to count for a lot. The stock is 14.5 inches in very nice oil finished Turkish walnut. Nothing wrong with that piece of wood at all. Really nice figuring. Again, with sporting clays guns, you'll rarely see ridiculously beautiful wood because of the quantity of work these guns do. The weather they go out with and abuse that clay guns receive is higher. So you're looking for a lot of strength, which this gun certainly has through the parts where it matters. They call this the XR stock. 2 screws in there, you pull that off, and it's got the adjustable hardware inside. Comes with spacers, of which I fitted every single one to get it high enough for me. But I do have a long neck, and that's that. Would be nice to see some spacer system in the back here, but most people who buy this will have it properly fitted, so you can have that changed to your needs. Really nice big grip. A lot of people, when they build competition guns, go for a grip that's a little too big because that seems to be the increasing fashion. But this gun is still quite slender through the neck, so you can still get a good hold of it. Very upright, very large checkering panels, something I noticed pretty quick. It is laser checkered, so the checkering isn't super sharp and nasty, it's just there. It's good, no complaints about that. The safety catch is in the normal place with a selector placed on top of it. I love that short throw. It is a little noisier than some, but it doesn't bother me in the slightest. As you know, I find the sound of a safety catch very therapeutic. Flipping it over, we've got the trigger unit here. That pops out with this lever here, or button. You slide that across, he says, and out that comes. This is a Fossari trigger unit. Fossari doesn't mean anything. It's just a brand name for this gun. I believe it's actually a surname in Italy, but there you go. I was kind of hoping it had some kind of cool meaning, but it doesn't. The first thing I love about this is the slender nature of that trigger. It doesn't make a great deal of difference, I think, when you shoot it to have this slim trigger, but it does look good. And it's kind of one of the indicators of the quality of gun making and machining that they put into this thing. The trigger unit is run off of coil springs, inertia block there, a pretty simple system, to be fair, nothing groundbreaking the way this works, but the trigger brakes are fantastic and, well, should be good and reliable, right? It's just nice to look at, and again, you can tell a lot with a detachable trigger because you can really see what level of finish is put into these parts. I love a detachable trigger, not only because it's something to fiddle with, but also because you can really see the quality of the gun making very easily. Looking inside a gun at the bits you can't see often reveals some sins. This gun is really nicely finished. All the metal work is lovely, and the trigger pulls are fantastic, as I said. The trigger unit goes in real easily, which is also nice, no fiddle at all. The tongue goes under the front, and then it should just into the safety catch. In you go. Simple. The top lever is blacked, in fact the whole action is blacked. Nice, simple design, nicely finished, with a gold crown on the top, CRX9 on the sides, and Fossari on the bottom. That leads us up into the woodwork. We have Fossari on the fore in there, and again, very large checkering panels. Generous checkering, we're going to call it. And I kind of like the design on the side there. It's got a nice flow to it, like a sports car. It's nicely done. And if you look on the stock here, you've got that same flow. Nice. It's just a little bit of attention to detail, which is cool. If we pop the fore end off and put it on the side. As I said earlier, the only thing I don't like about this gun inherently is the design at the front of the fore end, that kind of semi-tulip. A lot of you won't care. It's just I'd love to have seen it rounded. We'll just finish this gun off a little better. But I guess this is a harking back to some of the fair roots, because this is a common fore-end style on most of their guns, that tulip shape. It's nice. I don't hate it, I guess I wish it had just that rounded American style. For me, that would have finished this gun off nicely. Before we move on to the barrels and action lockup style, you can get an adjustable trigger. According to their website, an adjustable trigger is optional. It maybe would have been a nice thing. That would have been cool, but I wouldn't sacrifice it if I couldn't then have this thin trigger blade. It feels good, it looks cool, and looking cool when you're not a championship level shooter is good, or at least the gun looking cool, seeing as you're going to look at it a lot when you're looking down in shame that you didn't straight a stand. The gun is locked up on a boss style action. You have the 2 drawers at the back and those 2 lumps here that go back into the action. It's a great locking system and used by, well, increasing numbers of people, because it gives you a shallow, wide action which reduces your center of gravity, which is generally considered good for clay shooting. The ejection system is simple. You have these 2 rods here that come out when you fire the gun. They trip 2 cams on the inside of your fore-end here, which work the ejectors here, which are sprung loaded in the gun. It's a fairly common system, or resembles one of the more common systems. I kind of like the machining of the fore-end parts. It's a little bit more robust looking than some of the other makers out there. Whether that means anything, I don't know. Probably not. The gun cocks, whilst we're on it, on a simple single push rod operated by that fore-end piece here. The hinge pins are interchangeable. We've got a hex key on the inside there, and it looks like they just screw out, which is interesting. That kind of indicates that this gun is built to last. And when I say built to last, it doesn't mean it won't wear out. Like most competition grade guns, they're gonna wear out. It's how easy they are to get back on the road. This one would appear to be up there with the sort of guns that a gunsmith can take and have back to you within the hour, ready to go and shoot for an annual service and tighten. One of the only indicators that this gun isn't a lot more money than it is there's a few machine marks left around the back of the fences here. Maybe it would be nice to see those cleaned up, but that's time, that's money. These are the hardest jobs to actually finish to a high degree, and that's going to take time and money. I'd rather they invested the money in other things like quality trigger units, quality stock design, and quality barrels, which this has. And my only real indicator from that was the quality of the brakes we were getting with it out in the field were great. And it did crush targets really nice. Like with Icy and Mod in the gun and those Sovereigns, it was turning targets into dust. Not all the time. I mean, operator error counts for a lot, right? But it kind of indicated to me that this had not the standard fair barrels. And this gun has something called X-cones. X-cones meaning a longer forcing cone. And it has a Techni-Choke HPS 90, which is a 90mm choke, so a good long tapered choke. As you'd expect from a gun with long tapered chokes and long tapered forcing cones, that was the wrong way around, it is HP steel proofed, which is great. On the bottom of the barrels here you have Fossari, made in Italy by Fayard. I like it. I've become more barrel obsessed since doing that barrel film with Breda and actually learning that these things do make a difference. I've always been somewhat skeptical. But seeing the quality of the brakes, they've clearly done something good. Atop these barrels is the BSR rib. I don't know entirely what BSR stands for, but one would presume that the R stands for rib. It's a high-grade aluminium alloy rib, so it should be relatively tough, and it's extremely lightweight, which is good because there's a lot of material here. It's pivoted around a single pin so it doesn't fall off with a C-clip on both sides. It is non-tapered with a white bead sight at the front, and as we've shown before, it's adjustable up and down with these teeth, so you should be able to adjust point of impact to your tastes. More importantly, you can adjust the point of impact to your discipline, which kind of sums up what this gun is designed for. It's designed as a high-end clay gun that can be used in trap, skeet, or sporting, which is cool. The quality of the machining as well on this is superb. No marks, no nastiness, it moves up and down real easily. It's just a good, simple system. And there's nothing wrong with simple engineering when it's done well. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Given that you might need to adjust it in a pinch, having a system that is relatively toolless, I mean, you could do that with a penknife. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it, obviously, if you just spent £4,980 on it, but it's a great concept. All in all, I really enjoyed shooting this gun. I am very impressed by the quality of build on it. Given that it's £4,950, you can't walk into it and not look at what else is available on the market. And the answer is a lot. But this gun does measure up to be worthy of being at that price point, which is obviously really important. There's a number of guns out there that don't. You can see where they've sacrificed cost to keep it in that £5,000 price point, and you can see where they've invested that money to make this a competition level clay gun, which is exactly what they were setting out to design. They've done a great job. I'd love to shoot the non-adjustable rib version, and I'd love to shoot it with some spacers in the back. I probably should have prioritized some time to get that right before going out, but adjusting guns that we've got for review is sometimes frowned upon. You can't hate it. You cannot hate it. See, ever so slightly front heavy in this 32-inch spec, as it is, but where it's quite so heavy at £9, best part of, it feels right between the hands. I was, as I said, surprised at how fast this moved, to the point that I'd actually consider adding a bit more barrel weight to it just to slow it down. The adjustable rib I didn't think would be something that I cared about. That turns out really changed the way this gun moved for me. And I've been digesting that experience because I didn't realise potentially how much the sight picture of the rib would control or change the pace of my moves. And now that's in my head. Amazing how it changed the way I mounted the gun, changed the way I mounted the gun because my face was still in the same place. It changed the feel of the gun dramatically. And that was a real learning experience for me. I feel like I need to go out with this and play a little more so I can really try and understand that concept a little better as to how just seeing a different rib picture changed the way the gun moved. Because the clay still broke, right? The point of impact isn't changing so much that you're going to miss a clay at 30 yards. It's going to change the distribution from something like 50-50 to 80-20. But realistically, if you shoot the legs off every target, that's still going to break every target. It doesn't take a lot to adjust for that. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I've enjoyed this one. It's fun to look at something just a little bit different. Obviously, the downsides when buying something like this, and it would be wrong of us to do a review without looking at the downsides, is it is not a particularly well-known name on the circuit yet. And as such, second-hand values have not been established. But if you're buying a gun with the thought of selling a gun, that is not ideal, I guess. This is a gun you're going to buy and shoot and enjoy. And the second-hand value shouldn't be something that plays on your mind too much. If that is something you're concerned about, well, you never know. One would have thought, like with any new product, establishing a quality second-hand market is going to be down to the discretion of the retailers and the dealership network who is backing it up. And one would have thought it's in their best interest to try and retain values on these at something sensible, because guns with good second-hand value sell new. But luckily, that's not my problem. Guys, thank you very much for watching. These are worth checking out. Go and check one out. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching, guys. This channel is made possible by our amazing sponsors. You can find out more about them in the description down below. And if you want to support the channel, you can join as a member. You get loads of extra content, well, some extra content, and occasionally we hook up and go clay shooting together as a membership group. If you don't feel like joining today, we really appreciate you watching and subscribing. Have a wonderful day.